Hello everyone, you're welcome back to the garden. You're watching the Irish Mammy channel and my name's Katrina if you haven't been here before. So the last time I was with you I was getting ready to fill this bed. Thankfully it's filled now. I can't claim to have done a lot of it myself, but I did do a little bit. But it's now ready for planting, and I've also found a favourite new sitting spot in the garden. I don't intend to get sitting here too often, but I'm just going to sit and go through the two plants that I'm putting in today. So I have said before that the two plants I'm putting in are hazelnuts, cultivated varieties of hazelnuts, and a fruit called honeyberry. So the botanical name for this is Lonicera Caerulea. I like them because they're very like a blueberry. Now I haven't actually tasted them, but I'm told they're like a blueberry. They've this nice bright green foliage, you can see. They grow 1.5 meters high by about 1.2 meters spread, which is roughly 5 feet by 4 feet. So they'll fill in the space nicely. Quite small at the minute, but obviously over a few years they'll fill into their proper size. The advantages of growing these over a blueberry are that they can grow in more alkaline soil, which we have here. The soil that I've put in my bed here is actually mushroom compost, so that will be highly alkaline anyway, but our soil here generally is high alkaline, probably 7.5, possibly pushing on 8. Very heavy on limestone in the geology of this whole area, so we've quite high pH. So if you know anything about blueberries, you'll know that they like acidic soil, and while we can grow them, we usually have to grow them in pots, and even just using water, tap water, to water them in the summertime can be detrimental to them. Now it won't kill them altogether, but they won't be able to thrive to their full potential either, because our water here obviously is very high in lime as well. So for that reason, while we can grow blueberries in pots and containers, they'll never grow to their full potential, and they take a lot of looking after, because obviously anything in containers takes more looking after, especially in summertime. It's going to dry out faster, it's going to need a lot more attention, water, etc. As well as needing topped up with ericaceous compost every year, and needing acidic feed, etc, etc. So for that reason I'm going to try out these. I'm hoping I'm successful with them. I'll be able to show a picture here as well of what they look like. So they have a blue cylindrical fruit, like I said, much like a blueberry, in that it even has the white bloom that you'll get on a blueberry as well. I can't attest to the taste of it yet, but who knows. I've actually had some flowers on these. I've 4 of these actually, by the way. 2 different varieties I've chosen. One variety is called Sinoglaska, probably not pronouncing that right. I'll put the name on the screen just in case you're wondering. And the other variety, I'm going to pronounce it Wojtek. I'm not sure if that's right either, so I'll put the name on the screen as well. They grow better with a pollinating partner, so that's why I've chosen the 2 varieties. So I'm planting 2 of each variety. So they have nice cylindrical flowers. Let's see if you can see that clearly. There we are, 2 little flowers. Nice pale yellow flowers, pretty insignificant, but I suppose when you have a big bush full of those flowers, it probably is outstanding enough. So I have had some flowers. These were in the greenhouse. They've been hardening off the last probably 2 weeks. I've been hardening them off now at this stage. They're still tied up, so I'll be untying them now when I put them out. Hopefully we'll get a couple of fruit this year if the birds don't get to them first. So the other plant I'm putting in today is the cultivated versions or varieties of hazelnuts. So this is the pot I've had my hazelnuts sitting in for the last probably 2 years. Three different varieties here actually. So one is Webb's Prize Cobb. I'll be putting that one at the very front of the bed because it'll get the most sun and it should be the most productive of all three. Another one is called, I'm going to turn it around. It's called Cobb Nottingham. And as far as I can remember, it was recommended as a pollination partner for the Webb's Cobb Prize. I also then have 2 wild hazelnuts. Let's see, is that it? Yeah, it just says Corylus Avellana. Yeah, so 2 wild hazelnuts, and they'll also help with pollination as well. So 4 plants in total. So these plants will grow to quite a big size if they were left unchecked. I don't intend to leave them unpruned. I will be keeping them pruned because obviously I'm at the edge of the property here as well, so I don't want them growing out and annoying the neighbours. They'd grow something like maybe 20 feet by 15 or something like that. So like I said, the Webb's Cobb Prize is the one I expect to be the most productive, so it is going up at the very front, or closer to the very front. I do have one other shrub that's going to go at the very front, just to have a showpiece visible from the road. So this raised bed does obviously, now we're late in the evening here, we're about 7 o'clock in the evening, so it does get part shade, but they will produce in part shade as well. But for most of the day these will get nailed with the very strong afternoon sun. So I'm happy enough that they will get enough sunlight. Just some of them will end up being more shaded than others, which is why the Webb's Prize Cobb is going towards the very front, because it is going to be the most productive. The Lonicera or Honeyberry I'm going to plant in between them. So I'm going to get them all laid out now, the way I'm going to plant them. Trying to figure it out here in my head. I know I want to get that shrub at the very front. I'll do a wee rundown of it as well. It's actually a shrub I bought last year, left lying in a pot, forgot to water, and thought it had died. It had lost all its leaves, and as far as I know it doesn't generally lose all its leaves, but you know, when they don't get any water for weeks on end, they tend to lose their leaves. So thankfully it has come back to life in the spring, so I'm glad, because it's a lovely shrub. So this is my nice shrub that I'm putting on the very end here. It can get up to 5 meters high and something like maybe 3 meters spread. So I'm giving it plenty of room there in the bed. Obviously it's not going to get that big so soon, so there probably will be other plants planted around it for now. Normally it flowers in the spring, so I just wanted to show you the type of flowers, very much like a hydrangea flower. And the bloom panicles, because obviously they're all a lot of tiny little blooms, the panicles can get as big as 15 centimeters. Now obviously like I said, it flowers in the spring normally, but because this almost died last year, there's not a hope of it flowering this spring. So it'll spend the rest of this season getting rooted in, and who knows, maybe it might even flower next spring for us. I've seen these in lots of gardens and I absolutely love them. Not grown them before, but like I said, they're very like a hydrangea, and I just love hydrangeas as well. So this is very hardy. Not sure about pruning as of yet. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. But because this gets about 5 meters by 3 meters, I will probably have to do some pruning on it. There's not a hope of me letting it get to 5 meters here. It'll just be taken over, especially with it already raised up in the raised bed. It would be towering over everything and blocking sunlight then as well to the other plants behind it. So I've had a little surprise when I dug out my hazelnut plants. So I've put one here, the Webb's Prize Cobb, like I said, towards the very front. I've then put 2 of my honeyberries, 1 of each variety here, and they're well spaced out as well. Like I have probably 1.5 meters between the plants. It might not look like that on the camera, but there's about 1.5 meters between them, and then the same between them and the hazelnut trees. So the next tree is one of the wild hazelnuts. I would have put my Nottingham Cobb nut, but it turns out it's dead as a doornail. So I have the wild hazelnut there. I have 2 more honeyberries. Now these are going to get a good bit less sun than the first 2, so it could be a case of having to move them out of here altogether, but we'll see. And then I'm putting another wild hazel because I didn't have the Nottingham Cobb nut. I think that's what it's called, Cobb nut Nottingham. Didn't realise it because obviously they're all bunched together so much. I'll get rid of this. They were bunched together so much I didn't realise there was actually no leaves on this, and when I put it over on its side and heard such a big crack, realised that this was just gone beyond. Now you can see the root network on it, so that might be why. Highly possible that this just got too wet and rotted. Still though, there's a chance that I can get another one in the winter time and put it in here at the back as well, so we'll see what we'll do about that. Like I said, didn't actually need the 3 different varieties. Wild hazel is supposed to be a good enough pollination partner, so we'll see. I will probably put, even if I don't put it in this bed, I will put another pollination partner somewhere in the garden, because I really do want to be guaranteed that I get my own crop of hazelnuts. And look, it'll probably be years before I get any sort of a decent harvest, but these plants were actually producing some nuts. I mean, there might have been a handful, but they were producing something in the last 2 years that they were lying in their containers. So getting them into the ground here will be definitely beneficial to them. They'll hopefully take off, but like every plant, the saying goes, the first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, and the third year it leaps. I think I have that right. Sleeps, creeps and leaps. And I can see that in plants that I've already put in the garden that are there 3 years and more. The third year really sees them come on in leaps and bounds, in terms of putting on growth and flowering as well. So that is another thing to take into account when you're planting shrubs and even perennial plants. Like, it takes about the 3 years for them to fully settle into their space. So the first year it'll be, like they say, it sleeps, but what's actually going on is the roots are settling in under the ground. Obviously it takes a while for them to root out properly and to start to pick up nutrients that they need from the soil. And then of course most shrubs and perennial plants sleep for the winter as well, so that stops growth altogether. So then their second year they will creep, so you will see over the ground you'll see a small bit of growth and maybe a small amount of flowers if it is a flowering plant. The third year is when it really takes off because their roots are well settled in the ground, so it can put all of its energy into producing above the ground, growing, and putting lots of energy into flowers as well if it is a flowering plant. So this bed is going to look quite bare for a while. I'll probably fill it in over time with smaller little bits of plants, but I will have to bear in mind that this will be very different in terms of from one side to the other of the bed. So the front part of the bed will get full sun, and the latter half of the bed here towards the greenhouse will get less and less sun. So I'll have to bear that in mind, and towards the back plant more shade loving or part shade loving plants. So still have a bit of research to do on that yet, and I'm always tempted to pack plants in, and I've certainly done that in the front beds because I want impact straight away. This bed at the side of the house is a bit more tucked away, so it's not as important, but I know rightly I'll probably be putting flower bulbs in over the winter as well, just because I like to get that impact again in the spring, and that high colour impact. So now all I have to do is get planting. They'll certainly not do anything sitting here in pots, so let's get them in the ground. So it's nice to finally have this job done. The planting's looking a little bit linear. I have them watered in, but definitely the soil here doesn't need water. But the main reason for watering plants in after you put them in the ground is to settle the soil around the roots. That was the absolute only reason why I watered them in. The soil is sop and it's after raining solid for the last 3 days. But I can already see I'm going to have to go around and just adjust the soil levels, because that is one reason for watering them in, to get the soil settled, so you can see that you actually have it at the right level in the ground. So I can already see I need to do a little bit of adjustment. I'm just going to wait, because I may actually top this bed up with bark mulch, just to try and keep the weeds down. You notice I didn't put down weed barrier. I absolutely hate weed barrier in flower beds, because it just restricts you every time you want to put something new into the bed, as well as it compacts the soil over time as well. So weed barrier is a no-no in flower beds for me. I use it in many other places. I don't disagree with it totally, but I won't use it in a flower bed, just because I probably want to go and stick bulbs in the winter time or something, and the weed fabric, there's just too much cutting and messing to get it out of the way. So bark mulch will probably be a good idea on this bed to help keep the weeds down. Definitely won't keep the weeds down completely. There'll have to be weeding done, of course. Not my favourite job in the world, but I'd rather that than put down weed fabric. So like I was saying, it looks a bit linear. I have them all planted in a line, but as the plants mature, that will be less noticeable. And also, like I said, if I stick in other plants around it, even towards the front there, I might put some low creeping plants that might creep over the wall. In fact, I actually have a rosemary plant, a creeping rosemary plant, or at least one that spills over, I should say. It doesn't really creep, but it spills over and is low growing. I think they might call it a prostrate plant, something like that. Anyway, it grows differently from a normal rosemary plant. So I have one of those I can put there. Maybe I could even propagate it and put a few of them there. But like I say, when there goes more plants in, it won't look like I have everything planted in a line. Obviously I wanted everything to get as much sun, and the further back you go, the less sun they're going to get. So hence keeping it in a line so that it at least gets as much sun as it possibly can in the area that it's planted. So I hope you enjoy coming along and planting with me today. Like I said, great to get out in the evening sunshine, after all the rain especially. Nothing better than getting your hands dirty, stuck in the dirt, and getting plants in the ground. My second favourite job after seed sowing. Well, maybe third. I like harvesting vegetables as well. Anyway, one of my favourite jobs, one of many favourite jobs in the garden. So thanks for coming along with me. Press the like, thumbs up button if you haven't already, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. That way you'll get plenty of updates on this planting and other plantings over the summer. Given another good week coming up, so I'm hoping to get my vegetable garden in. You should be seeing that very shortly. I have loads of potting up to do. My flowers are still in the propagator. I finally have the temperature turned down and I'm ready to pot them on now in the next few days. Just getting time is the problem now at this stage, but that's the usual in April and May. It seems like an eternal winter of planning and not being able to do very much work in the garden, and then all of a sudden April and May comes along and it's just hell for leather to get everything done. So lots of videos coming up in the next few weeks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.